All right, how you guys doing? This is Rick Mejia, Community Manager and Program Manager here at Fit and Trim Medical. Today I'm doing a nice video blog for you guys with a lot of cool information. Okay, the goal today is to explain to you guys how hormones are affecting or disrupting your weight loss goals. Okay, this is very important to understand because a lot of times when we're trying to make some lifestyle choices and make some we're trying to not only lose weight, but we're trying to get healthier. We have to understand all the different factors that might be affecting that. And a lot of things that are happening in the body are very subconscious. They're happening as far as there are chemical reactions that are happening. And if you're not regulating those chemical reactions or balancing those chemical reactions, you're going to struggle a lot to reach your goal. Okay? So we have to understand that. Sometimes not everything is going to be psychological. But what I mean by that is, tomorrow you can wake up and say, I'm going to make a lifestyle choice. I'm going to change. I'm going to lose weight. But maybe your body doesn't want to. Your body has a way that's already been wired and is going to basically sort of fight with you. It's going to fight with you. It's going to compromise you and you're going to struggle a lot. And that's why a lot of people do not reach their goal. And this is very normal. Remember, the hypothalamus in the part of your brain is there to basically keep you alive. And it does this by always wanting you to stay with more weight. It wants you to eat more. It wants you to consume more. It is wired to do that. And if it's wired to do that, to reset that part of the hypothalamus, it's a little bit of a struggle. So one of the things that we do here at Fit and Trim Medical is whenever we run our programs, if you do participate or qualify for one of our programs, we do work with what we call hormone, vitamin, amino therapies, because we know we have to reset that part of the hypothalamus that controls hunger, that controls fat storing, that controls the metabolism, that controls sleep, controls temperature. So we have to work with those molecules and be able to balance those things out. Okay? So what are hormones? Hormones are secreted by different glands in your body. Okay? And they go to different cells and they tell the cells what to do. Okay? If you want to think about hormones, you also have to think about, your mood. You have to think about your sleep. You have to think about stress. You have to think about your metabolism. You have to think about, the way you express yourself. Hormones play a big role in a lot of things in your life. A lot of things. And you secrete these hormones almost like how you're wired to think, how your body is wired to react. Okay? A lot of people think they can just control their hormones with thoughts or their hormones with willpower, but it doesn't work that way. Not at all. Like, willpower is important to make decisions, but your hormones are always going to work against you. Like, let me give you an example. I always tell clients this example, which I think is great. If you want to test somebody's hormones out and see how they work, you have to think of extremes, right? So if you think you can control your hormones, if I ever grab you and I take you to the zoo and I throw you in a cage with a lion, do you think you're going to be able to control how much adrenaline and stress hormones you're going to produce and cortisol? You are not. It's going to be impossible. You're going to see that lion, you're going to freak out, and your body's going to produce all these hormones that are survival hormones, which are going to be stress and adrenaline for you to run and survive, right? You cannot control it. You're wired to respond like that, right? But a zookeeper that's been there for many years, maybe he doesn't get so alarmed. Maybe he's calm because he's already developed a lifestyle with the lion that he doesn't secrete those hormones as much. He can be calm and collected. Well, think about the lion being food. Every time you see something that has sugar, carbs, or some type of something that your body wants, subconsciously, it's going to run all the different hormones that's going to tell you to consume it. So the lion in the room every day for you is the food that you're seeing. And how is it that you're wired to do that? Well, every day you're marketed food. When you're in work, you're given food. Culturally speaking, with your family, you're given certain foods. You're giving your body all this food for many years that is wired to react that way. Okay? And there's certain hormones that pull the strings. They pull the strings on you to tell you how to react. All right? Just like when you like somebody. And when you're in school and you fell in love, you couldn't control how you felt. Those butterflies were hormones that were secreted, dopamine, serotonin. Same thing happens when you're sad. You lack the secretion of those hormones, so you get depressed. Okay, so the first thing we got to understand is that consciously you cannot change those things. You can change them through nutrition, but a lot of times you have to change them by basically giving the body giving the body the support. And that's why hormone therapy is very key. Of course, done in the right settings, when you have a provider like we do, when you can do blood work to see what hormones are not balanced, when you have obviously the medical support, because you're doing it in the right setting. All right, so the 4 hormones that are disrupting your weight loss and you don't even know it are the following. The first one I'm going to talk about is ghrelin. Ghrelin is a growth hormone. Ghrelin tells your pituitary gland, we need to grow. Okay? It tells this, it sends signal to all your cells. It tells it that it wants to grow. So ghrelin is responsible for what? For recovery. So a lot of people that work out and exercise, they want to produce a lot of ghrelin because they want to grow. They want to tell their bodies to grow. Now, what happens with ghrelin is if you're trying to lose weight for some people and you exercise a lot, you're producing ghrelin. So your body's telling you to grow, and at the same time with your diet or whatever you're doing, you're telling it to cut fat and lose weight. So sometimes that could be very counterproductive. And that usually happens with a lot of clients that have tried to lose weight by exercising a lot, but they don't lose a pound. They have the same personal trainer like for 5 years, and the personal trainer tells them, don't worry, muscle weights more than fat. It's like, yeah, that's true, but I haven't lost a pound. And part of that is because ghrelin is always being activated. Your body's always being told to grow. So those 5 pounds you lose 1 week come back right next to next week. So sometimes for specific body types and specific chemistries, you want to keep that growth hormone low. Now, certain foods trigger growth hormone. Like if you eat a lot of foods that have a lot of hormones in them, like if you eat chicken from like McDonald's or Kentucky Fried Chicken or something, they have a lot of growth hormone. They're telling your body to grow. That's why they are addictive. Okay? So you want to keep ghrelin under control when it comes to weight loss. Now, if it becomes for fitness performance, maybe ghrelin is a good hormone to have because you're growing muscle and you get stronger and faster. Okay? The second hormone is leptin. Okay? Leptin, when leptin gets triggered, leptin causes a lot of cravings. Leptin regulates a lot of your energy. Specifically, it also regulates brain energy. Okay, so if you're at work and you're working very hard and you're putting in that cognitive function and your brain needs energy, leptin kicks in and it tells you to get that little coffee. It tells you to get that chocolate chip cookie. It's telling you to get that bread because leptin wants that energy so your brain can function properly. So since leptin regulates energy, once it starts depleting itself from energy, it will send, your neurotransmitters will send the signal to your pituitary gland and leptin gets a kick. So a lot of foods also promote leptin. Like what? Like chips, things that have like dip, like, when you eat chips, you can't really stop eating them. Foods that have MSG secrete a lot of leptin. So that's why you're always eating them. You can't stop eating them. All right? So a lot of times, like I said, in the work setting, you're going to notice that a lot of people are going to be triggering a lot of leptin, which it makes the weight loss process very uncomfortable because you're always craving things. Specifically, those individuals that don't have what we call a good glycemic variability. The third hormone is insulin. Insulin, as you know, we have a big problem in America as far as chronic condition is concerned with type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Insulin is secreted by the pancreas. It controls sugar, blood sugar. It transports sugar to the cells and into a fat cell so you don't get intoxicated by sugar. Okay? So you don't die. Well, insulin is also we call it insulin growth factor. It's also a growth hormone. Okay? And insulin, every time you are secreting insulin, you're not secreting the molecules that burn fat, like hydroxybutyrate. You're not secreting things that will drive triglyceride to cholesterol, which later on becomes oxygen, which means you burn fat. It doesn't help your body lose weight. And a lot of you are triggering your insulin. And how do we know you're triggering insulin? When we test you out, when we do one of our blood works in our labs here, we can tell how your A1C is doing, your glucose. We can see those markers, those biomarkers that suggest you keeping or you secreting a lot of insulin. Of course, and if you're type 2 diabetic or type 1, your body, everything that it sees, everything that it consumes, it turns it into insulin. That's one part that most people don't understand. Giving you guys the example of the zookeeper with the zoo, a lot of times insulin becomes so wired into your brain that even if you consume foods that don't are not high in sugar, your body will produce insulin. There's a study that they did a while back ago, where individuals that were looking at food that has sugar, just by looking at it, the brain will secrete insulin just because it thought it was going to come in the body, so it had to protect the body from the sugar spike. So just think about that. You can actually gain weight just by looking at things. Just like, that's just how hormones work. Just like when guys see pretty girls and their testosterone goes up, that's how it works. They secrete testosterone when they see a pretty girl. All right. Now, the fourth one is cortisol. Cortisol is secreted by the adrenal glands. Cortisol is a stress hormone. What happens with cortisol? It's mostly a hormone that's there to protect you from stress so you can survive. But when you have too much cortisol, then you put on a lot of fat. You gain weight. And this can happen if you have lack of sleep, if you have too much stress, if you're eating foods that are very toxic to the body, if you are obviously, like I mentioned, if you're not getting any type of if you're not getting any sun. Most of you that are low in vitamin D, which is responsible for a lot of gene expression that's good for the brain and good for inflammation, you will produce a lot of cortisol. So cortisol is a stress hormone that if you don't correct it and if you're not working well with it, guess what? You're going to gain weight. You're going to put on body fat. Okay? So one of the things that we want to suggest to you guys as you come into our centers is what we're trying to do here is not only help you lose weight, but help you understand how your body works and the synergy of the body so we can correct things. And as we correct things, we can now manifest a healthier body that you can keep long term. That you're not just like, oh, I did this fat diet or I did this one diet and I lost weight. No. Let's correct the things that are making your body express in a way that is not good for you. Okay? And that means understanding your body. Like Socrates said, know thyself. Once you know yourself, you can make the changes necessary so you are manifesting a healthier body. All right? So don't think that weight loss is just a function of exercise, no carbs, no sugar, eat this. No, there's no absolute truth in weight loss. There's a combination of things that when they're balanced and corrected, they help you not only get healthier, but you lose weight much faster and much more efficient. Okay? Now, one of the things that you want to ask yourself about hormones is very simple. What hormone do you feel you are deficient on? Or what hormones do you feel are affecting you? Is it the sleep hormones? Is it the stress hormones? Is it the sex hormones? Is it your metabolism hormones? Is it your mood? Is it your psychology, like your depression? Make a list of that. Like, write them down. I think my stress hormones are out of whack. Or I think my metabolism hormones are out of whack. I think my temperature hormone, especially for women, they deal with a lot of temperature issues. Sometimes when they sleep, they're super hot or super cold. Those are signals that your body's out of whack. Doesn't make even psychologically. If you look at a person's brain when they're depressed, it means a lot of dopamine, serotonin is not well balanced, and that is hormone expression too. So guys, as you're coming on board with us, as you're learning more about what we do, it is important to understand the complexity of the things that we do. And that's when we put a program together. We are putting together hormone, vitamin, amino therapies that are complemented with the right eating plan that's correct for you. And then we are testing to make sure that we can change what we can track. So we understand where is it that you need to go. So instead of you going in a guessing game, you're more optimal, you're more hyper-focused. Right? A laser can penetrate through anything. A bright light doesn't, because it's not focused. And a lot of you are looking at weight loss from a broad perspective, and you think it's very, it's just, oh, I just eat spinach and it's good for me. No, not necessarily. They just did a study that for 50% of the population, spinach has isolate, which means it's toxic to you. So every day we're being disrupted to being told that whatever someone else does, it doesn't necessarily work for me. Make sense? So we got to become more self-aware. And what's crazy is when you balance out these hormones, you feel better. You're not as crazy hungry. You're not as crazy moody. You're not as crazy tired. You start manifesting a healthier psychology because you're making better choices. And the reason you're making better choices is because you're not in balance. Okay? All right, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys would like to go more information about our programs and how to participate, Obviously, in the website, you have access to make an appointment. The idea here is to help you to be more optimal and to be able to understand what are the things that are affecting you. And mind you, we all being affected by this. Now, remember, hormone signals deplete as we age. That just happens. As you age, the way you're secreting certain hormones begins to die out. And if you don't work with that, you're going to basically age faster. And you're going to get some of the side effects faster. All right? Okay, guys, so it's Rick Mejia. I hope you guys like this video. I'm going to try to do more videos. I've been out of touch with videos because I've been working on building a lot of the centers that we're going to be putting together. This is really my passion. I like to create things that help a lot of people. And again, when it comes to science, to weight loss, to nutrition, to fitness, no one is infallible. Every day we humbly get new evidence, we apply it, we use it, and we see what works best. And that's what makes us go forward. And that's the forward-thinking approach that we always have. So when you watch this video, just kind of think. You can be skeptical, but just always try to verify, research, get it. I'm going to try to leave down some of the best books that we have on the evidence and the empirical evidence of all the things that we are talking about here in these videos. Okay? All right, guys. Hope you like it. For some of you, I'm going to get to meet you in person, so we'll get to work together. And for some other you, if you have more info, more questions, just contact us.